Set up for a winner. Talking NFL and college football on ESPN is our own Booger McFarland, North Louisiana native, LSU All-American, first-round pick, Super Bowl champ, now a part of ESPN's coverage on both platforms, and here with us every Wednesday morning on Off the Bench. And the conversation is brought to you by Central Plumbing Company. What did you make of Joe Burrow's debut in the league?
Expected. I mean, he has some good plays. He has some bad plays. I know the interception at the end is probably going to haunt him. But listen, he's going to understand that on the NFL level, there are certain plays that he's expected to make, and then there are certain plays that he's going to have to learn how to make. And when you get down in the 2-minute situation toward the end of the game, that's when the really, really good players, the players that are consistent and successful, that's when those players make the game-changing, the game-winning plays. He tried to make one. It didn't work out. But overall, I think everyone in Cincinnati has to feel really, really good about the debut. And if that's the worst they're ever going to get from Joe Burrow, the future's pretty bright in Cincinnati.
Boog, everybody expected Clyde to be a great fit in Kansas City. Can we expect him to be that good?
Well, he's going to be a really good fit. Is he going to rush for 120, 30 yards every game? No. But what he's going to do, he's going to have opportunities in space because that offense is not going to slow down. As long as Tyreek Hill is still running 4-3 and Sammy Watkins running 4-3 and Mecole Hardman runs 4-3 and Travis Kelce is at worst the top 2 tight end in football, he's going to have lots of space to operate. And I think everyone in Baton Rouge saw that if you give Clyde space, he's tough to tackle if you put him in a phone booth, let alone give him space. So he's going to be successful. And I think I'd be surprised if he's not, at the very least, the offensive rookie of the year. And he's going to have an opportunity to make the Pro Bowl and do great things beyond that in his rookie year.
Yeah, I mean, he's running against light boxes that entire game. It's everything that he trained for last year at LSU. Booger, speaking of last year, Lamar Jackson was incredible. He was NFL MVP. He's younger than Joe Burrow.
Know that, T-Bob,
I know.
I know. Most NFL fans remember that.
Exactly, right? So how then am I still even more blown away by what I witnessed out of Lamar Jackson on Sunday? I mean, he looked so locked in. His deep balls were unreal. What was your view of Lamar Jackson's performance beating down the Browns?
Well, I think Lamar Jackson has gotten better. And you say you're amazed. Could it be that your expectations are too low?
Yes,
maybe
absolutely.
You're the problem. Maybe you're the Lamar Jackson hater that some people are speaking of out there. But
I've been calling him top 5, but this felt like he immediately enters the Mahomes and Wilson category for best in the league.
I wouldn't quite go that far.
Okay.
I mean, listen, those guys have won rings. They've won playoff games. He's yet to win one of those. So it was a really, really good debut. I think he's gotten better. I'm interested to see what happens with him when somebody finally figures out that he's throwing to Mark Andrews a lot. Like when somebody figures that out and forces him to get the ball to Hollywood Brown and those receivers more consistently, to me that's going to be the telltale sign. But he's gotten better from last year, and last year he was the MVP, so I think that's scary.
It is scary, and the Ravens looked so good last year, and they didn't even look like they were sweating on Sunday. But then the Steelers looked pretty damn good, too, with Big Ben on the comeback trail. Matt Canada as his quarterback coach, Boog. What do you think, man? Can the Steelers challenge the Ravens for the North?
Well, first of all, let's not give Matt Canada too much credit. Ben was a Hall of Famer before Canada got there, and he's still a Hall of Famer. Let's not attach
Matt Canada. He's the key.
Well, okay. I mean, maybe for you, but not for me. If Ben Roethlisberger stays healthy, the Steelers can win the Super Bowl. I don't know how much more simpler you can put it. Their defense is going to be top 3 to 5 at the worst. They got a lot of playmakers. Their biggest thing is can they get the rookie Chase Claypool from Notre Dame to continue to evolve? And if he evolves into a legitimate threat with the way they can run the ball, whether it's Connor or Benny Snell, former Kentucky product, they're going to be legit, man. But the whole key is Ben Roethlisberger because he's the guy that brings the poise, the calm to that offense. He's the playmaker. He's a Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame quarterback. And as long as he's there, they can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime.
So speaking of the old quarterbacks, 'cause I put Ben in that crew. Obviously, Brady and Brees are in that crew. PR-17, Philip Rivers in that crew. How did you feel about the old quarterbacks on Sunday? Because it looked like a lot of them looked very human.
Drew Brees, I think Drew Brees did what he always does, man. They're not going to throw the football down the field deep. It's going to be underneath, precision passing, screens. It's going to be some, some forced use of Taysom Hill. I think they got to justify paying him $10 million a year. So Taysom Hill just kind of pops up at the odd time. It's kind of like a commercial. You know what it's like? Imagine watching the Lifetime channel, and then all of a sudden a commercial for Viagra pops up.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like,
all the time.
Talk about just comes up out of nowhere. Like,
Literally.
That's almost kind of how Taysom Hill comes up. Like, Drew Brees is going along, and all of a sudden, damn, where's Drew? Here's Taysom Hill. You're like, how did that happen?
Swing.
But that's the Saints offense, though. So I thought Drew Brees performed the way he always does. Tom Brady, obviously, the learning curve is going to be a little bit longer in Tampa, which is to be expected. I think a lot of us, including me, when you saw that first drive, you're like, oh, here we go,
Yeah.
Super Bowl,
Yeah.
first drive, touchdown. And then all of a sudden reality set in that football is a complicated game that is dependent upon relationships and continuity, and the Bucs just didn't have that. Philip Rivers, listen, you fooled me once, shame on you. You fooled me twice, that's on me. Like, Philip Rivers has done this the last 2 years. Like, he'll make some good throws, but he's going to throw some balls where you're like, probably shouldn't have thrown that one. Like, and he's throwing a lot of interceptions. So I thought that most of the quarterbacks, aside from Brady, performed about how we expected them to perform.
Okay.
If I take Mike Thomas out of the New Orleans Saints office and he could miss a couple of weeks, he was targeted 5 times, 3 catches, 17 yards on Sunday. Not a big effect, but he steals so much of attention away from everybody else. What does that mean with him out?
Well, it's a huge deal. I think you're going to see a lot more Jared Cook featured, a lot more Alvin Kamara featured. You're going to see the Viagra commercial known as Taysom Hill pop up even more. I think that's what you have to go by. You would love to say, yeah, I'm going to put Emmanuel Sanders in that role, but Emmanuel Sanders doesn't have the connection and the consistency and the continuity with Drew Brees just yet. So he'll have an opportunity to make his plays, but I think it's going to be the Cook-Kamara show sprinkled in with a little Taysom Hill.
Talking to Booger McFarland here on Off the Bench. Boog, you look at the NFC South, Saints 1-0, everybody else 0-1. I came away from Sunday's game very impressed with the Bucs front seven. In fact, I feel like I overlooked them completely in the run-up to the game. Levante David and Devin White look scary at times. Does that Bucs defense, because I think they'll figure it out offensively, does that Bucs defense make them the best challenger to the Saints in that division?
Based on what I saw Sunday, and it's just one game. I mean, the Bucs have always played the Saints really well defensively. How they ended last year, you couple that with what happened Sunday. I mean, Todd Bowles is as good a coordinator as there is.
Yep.
And as long as the secondary will continue to evolve, because I think we saw in a big play where I think Dean had Cook man to man, and he just kind of got caught minding somebody else's business, and Cook Drew Brees threw one over his head.
Yeah.
So the secondary is the key. The Buccaneers front seven is as good as there is in football. The secondary has to play better, and if they do, yeah, that defense is going to be legit. The Bucs will be. I told somebody this. They're still going to win 11 or 12 games. Mark my words. They're going to win 11 or 12.
Whoa.
The key will be whether or not their secondary can hold up against Brees, against some of the better teams, Green Bay, when they face them. Can their secondary hold up against some of these top-notch quarterbacks? Drew Brees, not so much, because they don't throw the football down the field a lot. It's more 20 to 25 and underneath. You get teams like Green Bay, man. Did you see Aaron Rodgers Sunday?
Yeah, he looked
Aaron
incredible.
Rodgers looked like the best quarterback in football again.
Look good.
Yeah, no.
Look good.
I'm not happy about it.
And he's throwing the guys that got 3 names, Equanimous, St. Brown, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and all these people,
I know. I hate it because I spent the entire offseason trash talking Aaron Rodgers, and he just slapped me in the face.
You were one of those guys who was like, yeah, Jordan Love. I'll see you next year.
Yeah, I tried.
Great pick, Green Bay.
What are you going to do?
Yeah,
Bruce,
great pick. I mean, Green, talk about
Thinking outside the box.
When are the Saints going to do what Green Bay did?
hey, I will say this, though. Everybody lambasted Green Bay for not taking a wide receiver, and now, like, everybody's like, oh, look how smart they were. Aaron Rodgers loves you, whatever. What do you think, Boog? You're a longtime NFL vet. What do you think about when you see the headlines of Bruce Arians calling out Donovan Smith in the public, which that's one thing, but then even saying that, like, Tom Brady needs more grit?
Well, I've never had a problem with the truth, T-Bob. I mean, it's like when I call you fat, I mean, you were like, okay, I get it. Like,
yeah.
like
Yes,
the
sir.
truth hurts
Yes, sir.
sometimes.
That's fair.
Okay, like no one in America should ever have a problem with the truth. Okay, and Donovan Smith was terrible. I mean, Trey Hendrickson is not great, and he was looking like the second coming of Howie Long out there. Okay, I mean, let's just be honest. Trey Hendrickson, like, if I told you, hey, list from top to bottom in order the ranking of the most impressive or the most physically gifted New Orleans Saints defensive linemen, we would probably go Davenport,
Yeah.
Cam Jordan in some order, depending. And we're not talking about production, just athletic ability. Like Trey Hendrickson is not going to be in the top 2 or 3.
No, I'd put Onyemata ahead of Hendrickson, too. That dude's a physical freak.
Him too.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. But as far as Tom Brady didn't play well. And T-Bob, there's an old saying in life, never, ever run from the truth. Okay? The truth will always set you free. And so if anybody has a problem with what Bruce Arians did, calling out Tom Brady, then you don't understand football. As a player, I can deal with you being direct with me as long as it goes both ways. As long as when I play well, you say I kicked ass, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You can't just call me out on the bad times. You got to be able to call me out in the good times, too. So Tom Brady's been around this league a long time, man. 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 wins. There's nothing he hasn't heard or seen. He'll be fine.
Last week, I asked you if Seattle gave up too much for Jamal Adams. This Wednesday, I asked you, did they give up too little for their new safety?
Well, I told you guys last week, I think he's the best safety in football. And this goes beyond what happens on the field. This goes to the attitude he brings, the tenacity, the effort, the enthusiasm that he brings to a team. It's infectious, man. It is. It's really infectious. It's kind of like when you and your wife together and she says, honey, I'm going to go on a diet. I mean, it almost forces you to do the same thing because she's going to start eating salad and she's not cooking for you. Yeah. Like, you're going to have to do what she does at some point because if she's into it, you don't want to let her down, so you got to be into it.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's the same way. It's the exact same way, man. And Seattle is better off for it. But how about the Jets, man? Jeez.
I mean, what a dumpster fire, dude.
Lord.
That's what I tweeted Sunday. They're broken.
Adam Gase hadn't been the same since Peyton Manning retired. I'll just leave it.
Yep. Imagine that.
And
Imagine
Peyton Manning got him that job.
I mean, that's what I say. Imagine that you look like a great coach when you're coaching Peyton Manning. I'm going to go out a limb, Boog, and say that I could look at least okay if I was coaching Peyton Manning.
Well, maybe we crossed the line of going too far just right there.
Boog, have a good week. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Later.
All right, man. Central Plumbing Company bringing you that conversation. We'll be back and close out hour 1.